On this episode of China Uncensored, China doesn't declare war. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Remember that passive-aggressive friend of yours back in high school? The one who always was nice to you in person, but then you found out later they were talking some serious smack behind your back?
You're like really pretty. Thank you.
Well, that's China. Only instead of talking smack, China is waging an actual military war with you behind your back. Unless you're one of the 50 Cent trolls watching this from China, in which case, congratulations, you're winning. The point is, since the late 90s, most American mainstream media and politicians have been like, oh, China, shiny high-speed trains, and oh, China, please make all of my cheap stuff. More recently, it's been like, hey, come on, stop hacking us, that's not nice. But seriously, can you hurry up and make my new iPhone? It's like at some level we know it's an unhealthy relationship, and yet we do it anyway.
The weird thing about hanging out with Regina was that I could hate her, and at the same time, I still wanted her to like me.
Long before the first Chinese hack was reported in the media, China has been in an all-out war with the United States. U.S. government intelligence has known about this for a long time, but the average American has no idea. Because China never declared war, and China hasn't fired a single bullet. Nonetheless, the Communist Party of China is engaged in a full-scale, multi-billion-dollar war with the United States, and it threatens every American worker and taxpayer. This war is called hybrid warfare. This U.S. Army white paper from last year states that People's Liberation Army Colonel Qiao Liang has already laid out a vision for how China will attack the United States through military and non-military tactics. The first rule of unrestricted warfare, he says, is that there are no rules, with nothing forbidden. No rules? Nothing forbidden? It's like you think you're playing football, but then...
Let the games begin!
So to learn more about this, I recently sat down with cyber espionage expert and investigative journalist Joshua Philipp. He told me how the Communist Party's hybrid warfare works and their systematic plan for making the U.S. more and more vulnerable. And what's more, it's happening right under our noses. What do you think the end game is of all of this?
Yeah, so for the end game for the Chinese Communist Party, its programs for economic theft are not isolated. They're part of what the U.S. military would call hybrid warfare. In fact, there was a recent report from U.S. Special Operations Command saying China is waging hybrid warfare in the United States. Hybrid warfare is a way of fighting war against another country without using troop-on-troop combat. And so that includes economic theft, financial warfare, propaganda warfare, drug warfare, smuggling warfare, basically every kind of warfare you can think of that doesn't involve, troops killing each other on a battlefield. This is a form of war meant to achieve what war would achieve without firing bullets, you see?
So with this hybrid warfare, could the Communist Party of China, say, target the U.S. power system, power grid, and shut it down?
They have. They have, unfortunately. There are many people in the defense community who believe that the Chinese Communist Party was behind the 2003 shutdown of the New York City electrical grid. You remember the blackout. The Chinese Communist Party and Russia and several other countries are actively involved in attacking what we call critical infrastructure. This is our roads, our power grid, our financial system. It's basically all of the different systems within a country that allow the country to function, you see? These are key targets in the event of war because these are the things you could hit that would disable the war-fighting ability, you see? You destabilize the country to the extent that they're no longer capable of waging war against you.
I think the issue here is it's very easy for me to imagine a terrorist with an AK-47 blowing something up. But, talking about hacking the internet, it's a world that people don't have like a
physical, they can't like come to grips with it in like a very real way.
Right. This is the unfortunate nature of the modern world in general. The form of war changed during the Cold War. That was when war went from being, fighting on the surface to fighting beneath the wires. It's when spies became the main force, in the militaries. And the internet enabled that to another level, because then you have spies who can work on the internet and not just having to infiltrate buildings and so on. The majority of modern warfare is being fought through unconventional means. As far back as 2007, the U.S. military was saying China is waging full-scale, force-on-force warfare against us in cyberspace.
So what is being done to prevent this?
Unfortunately, very little.
Why?
Okay, so my sources tell me, and it's not just my sources, but a lot of other people, the United States is overly focused on terrorism. Plain and simple. We're putting all of our attention on terrorism, and the Chinese Communist Party has been running rampant until very recently.
So while the war on terror was happening, that essentially left China unchecked, the Communist Party of China unchecked to develop these programs that are costing us trillions of dollars and actually making this country less safe.
That's right. Unfortunately. Not only that, but also the Chinese Communist Party, even provides weapons to these organizations. If you look at a lot of the countries that have terrorist problems, a lot of the weapons come from China. It's like the Chinese Communist Party is keeping us busy with one hand and then stealing from our pockets with the other hand. The implications of this are really terrifying, actually. And this is something that, as a country, I believe we need to start taking more seriously.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, the Chinese Communist Party has developed a complex and very profitable system for stealing American technology and then using it against us in its quest to be a world superpower. And it's costing American taxpayers and businesses trillions of dollars a year. If you'd like me to talk more with Joshua Philipp about this in a future episode, let me know in the comments below. And remember to subscribe so you'll get notified when new episodes are posted. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. In early 2014, I made an episode called Is China a Nuclear Threat? Is China a nuclear threat? The short answer is no, but the long answer is no. Well, a year and a half of weapons testing later, it turns out the answer is now yes, yes, God, yes, they're a nuclear threat. On June 1st, a cruise ship carrying 456 passengers and crew capsized in a storm while traveling up China's Yangtze River. It's the worst nautical disaster in China since the 1940s. And of course, first responders headed to the scene. And as usual, in a national disaster like this, you want your first responders to be strong, brave, and hot. Yes, hot! That's the focus of not one, but several articles in Chinese state-run media